Hey, it's Chris Bowling.
Hey, it's Chris Beyer.
How are you, CB?
I'm good.
We're in
I'm good. I'm
2020.
excited for today's conversation.
We are, so how many times have you dated something 2022 to this point?
I know it's crazy, crazy.
Always hard to get used to the new year.
I
So
know it's here we are, 2023. Got to make sure that three. Well, the two you can make into three, I guess. But
right.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a good point. So the topic today I'd love to discuss is I'd say coaches or mentors that have pushed you through life that would not let you settle.
yeah,
uh, Obviously we don't have to say names, but if you do, great. But I think this
yeah,
is more about, as we go into the new year, as we're focusing on, what do
yep,
we want this year to look like, maybe different from last year. I always think it's good to reflect on who pushed us. It's
yes,
amazing how many times we forget those lessons, and we need to remember those lessons going into a new year. And
yeah.
I mean, I think we're all exhausted from 2022.
I know
We
it's a
can't take
good
too much.
reset opportunity. Yes.
Who's that? I love that. So, who in your life, or stories, or anything that could, they can help
Yeah, I
us?
mean, I think back to certainly athletics, all the different sports, all the different levels, as well as some of my teachers. Those teachers or professors or coaches that would take me aside and talk to me one-on-one, either after practice or after class, and in some way challenge my ego in a good way. Like,
Right.
you're not doing enough. You're not, and put a little bit of yeah, just put a little fire into me. I think those were the moments that I remember. Like, okay, I wasn't giving my full effort for whatever reason, and that reset challenge gets me back focused again. And
Dang.
it's different now as we're in business, because you and I talk to each other all the time, and we try to encourage each other. We complain to each other. I mean, we're just always talking through that. But I think, at that moment where we both tell each other, you can do this better, or let's improve it, we get refocused again. And like I said, there's probably five or six examples. I've been thinking back, like, man, when that happened, it changed the
Yes.
trajectory of that season, or that
Yeah.
that semester, whatever might be the case.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. So I'm going to give you time to think of a story, funny
Okay.
story, realistic story, learning story. But yes, I've got certainly coaches that knew my potential, and
Yeah.
if I was ever dogging it, boy,
Yes.
they were on me because they expected more, right? And then
Right.
I think through my business career, yes, there's been a few key people that have had to give me a pretty good body check.
Yeah. That's
Hey,
a good way to put it.
it's,
Good way to put it.
refocus,
Yeah.
rethink, reset your ego.
Yeah.
So my funny story that I have to share, because it's this was back in high school,
Okay.
and it was my junior year, and really looking forward to my junior year. I had finally put on some weight,
Yeah.
and I didn't lose speed, which was great. And so we were doing kickoff, return, right?
Yes.
And my varsity head coach was one bad dude. I mean, black
Yes.
belt karate, intense. I mean, the most intense dude you'd ever meet. So I'm dogging it. I mean, I'm on kickoff. I'm not sprinting down. I'm just kind of, and all I remember is 1 second I was jogging down, and the next second I'm looking up at the sky. The dude kicked me in the head, knocked me flat on my back, and it stood over me. It was just, now today that could never happen.
That would never happen.
Back then, my father probably would have said, "Yeah, he
He
absolutely
deserved it.
deserved that."
He
And man,
deserved
you
it.
want to talk about a reset? I was the first guy down that field for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I just remember, like, bam, on my butt or on my back, looking at the birds. And but you know what? He, after practice, he's like, I expect more.
Yeah.
He's like, you were dogging it. You were thinking that you were all that. And you know what? I don't have to go 100%.
Yeah.
And you needed a recheck.
Oh, that's very true.
How about you? Do you have any great stories
No,
of?
I remember it was probably high school as well. And I can't remember if it was freshman year or then, sophomore year, I was playing varsity. And so I can't remember if it was between those years, but yes, like when we just got blown out in a game and coming back on the bus, we're all just having a great time. I mean, we just got our tails kicked. Coach was not having it. I remember we pulled back up to the school and we got out, went back to the locker room, and then put back on shoes. We had to run sprints to finish the night. And I just remember how mad I was that we were doing that, because it was like, this is stupid. I want to go home, go to bed. But it was that lesson that we took from that. I was like, you can't be excited after a loss, and you've got to reflect on that on the way home. But as you were talking through all those things too, when we had to run extra, or we got yelled at, or we had to, stay an hour later because we just couldn't get the play right in practice. And it was so frustrating, but yet now I look back at that and say, I know why it was done. It changed something in our mindset. Totally. I was like, I hate this. This is stupid. Like, you're just so frustrated by it.
Yeah. I think no matter who, it could be a family member, it could be your spouse, it could be a coworker, but if you accept somebody to be mediocre, then don't accept anything more from that person. If you're not willing to do a body check every once in a while, not physically, but
not anymore, at least.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you feel bruised, you feel like, oh man, I messed up or whatever it is. But then when you actually take time to understand it, you come back more fired up. But we took so many lessons from that, man. It's reflecting back on this as we're talking. It's like I just keep thinking through all those situations. Bad as could be, but there was a reason behind it, and it made us better.
Yeah. So I guess my challenge to anybody listening to this is, we go through life, we forget to acknowledge that. We forget to acknowledge the people that have made us better. My challenge to everyone, which I will do, reach out to those people. Could be a text, could be an email, could be a phone call, and say, you know what? You truly did make me better. And I was probably a brat when that happened. I probably was the victim. And you know what? I'm not a victim. I deserved it. And thank you, because it really reset my attitude or my work ethic or whatever that is. But yeah, that would be my challenge to everyone. I'm unfortunately, two of my coaches, the guy who kicked me in the head is no longer with us.
Yeah.
But his wife still is. So I'll reach out to her.
That's a great challenge to think back who made the impact and just let them know, because it's been, decades in some cases. We've gone through that, and that would mean a lot, I'm sure, to them. And it's just a good way to be grateful and acknowledge. So I like it, CB.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone. Let's make 2023 a great year.
Absolutely.